Hi, I'm Aurora. I'm currently in the third year of my PhD, and hopefully this little presentation is going to add a bit of context to my poster. So I'm mostly going to talk through my findings because I think they benefit most from further explanation. But if anyone has any questions about other parts, like my data or my methodology or anything, then please do just pop a comment somewhere. So the work I've been doing recently has been on metadata, specifically naming strategies, so handles and usernames, and profile pictures. So I'm firstly going to discuss the relationship between metadata units, and then I'll go into more detail about identity performances within profile pictures. I found that broadly the same identity aspects are being presented across metadata units. So in the example on the slide, you can hopefully see that the identity aspects presented within the naming strategies and the profile picture combine to create a coherent identity performance. And these types of performances were common within both wider samples, and the wider samples are discussed in the poster. So in most cases, the same identity aspects will be presented in the handle, the username, and the profile picture. Arguably, this contributes to authenticity according to Van Leeuwen's approach of authenticity as truth to the essence of something, where he suggests that an identity performance can be perceived as authentic when it's constant and when it's unified. So as stated on the poster, two main types of accounts appeared from the analysis, and these were news accounts and personal accounts. And within both types, there seems to be some orientation to pre-existing norms, but these differ between the more and less popular sample. Within the more popular sample, where accounts that look like news are presented, they appropriate the norms of pre-existing news organizations by using similar profile pictures and naming constructions. In the less popular sample, this doesn't happen to the same extent. So in the case of Atlanta Online, a 0 was used instead of the letter O in the handle, and we don't expect to see that from established news organizations, so it seems kind of marked. I also found that there were relationships between accounts in the more popular sample, and this mirrors the way that news organizations often have location-specific pages, as shown in the slide. So in the more popular sample, I found that there were 5 groups that could be formed where the same strategies were being used, but there were no such groups in the less popular sample, so news accounts tended to be standalone. In terms of personal accounts, so accounts posing as human beings, there also seems to be a difference in the way the two samples appropriate norms. So research suggests that the use of human names and photographs on social media profiles contributes to perceptions of authenticity by making performances less anonymous. And this is reflected in the more popular sample by the consistent use of human names and profile pictures that are photographs of humans within personal accounts. But in the less popular sample, our expectations about anonymity aren't reinforced in the same way, and this is seen through the presence of spoofs. By spoofs, I mean accounts that quite clearly aren't who they say they are. So here we have Jeb Bush, which was an account posing as a merge between Jeb Bush and Hillary Clinton. And we can see the image has been photoshopped to mash those two people together. So we know that this is not a person that exists in the offline world. And immediately this type of account can be seen as anonymous because we can't create a link with an individual person. The fact that this is done differently in the more and less popular samples suggests that identity performances in the more popular sample reinforce our expectations about both anonymity and news presentations to a greater extent than those in the less popular sample. So to conclude, I suggest that authentication processes within disinformation accounts are facilitated firstly by the creation of constant unified identity performances, and secondly by an orientation to pre-existing norms within both types of account. So previous research, as detailed in the poster, seems to suggest that one type of account is credible and authentic, or another type is. But I suggest that instead of this, it's the extent to which accounts appropriate and reinforce existing norms that influences the authentication processes of these identity performances. Thank you.